Diving deeper into the alphabet soup, hacking Wall Street, and crowdsourcing POTUS. Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode number 400 for Tuesday, August 11th, 2015. This episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Braintree. If you are working on a mobile app and searching for a simple payment solution, check out Braintree. With one simple integration, you can offer your customers every way to pay. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, go to braintreepayments.com/technight. Welcome, I am Megan Morrone. Let's get into today's big news. Yesterday, we told you that Google is now a slimmer, more focused company designed to tackle the internet properties you know and love, like search and Gmail and YouTube and others. The new Google falls under the larger umbrella company called Alphabet, which oversees the rest of the non-core projects, encompassing just about everything from driverless cars to the quest for immortality. Here to discuss this is Iain Thomson from The Register, fresh from a stint at DefCon, which has made him even more suspicious than he was before. Welcome, Iain.
As if that were possible. Hi there, Megan.
So part of me thinks this is kind of just a pure business decision. Nothing to see here. Makes perfect sense. Larry Page and Sergey Brin have long seemed more interested in all their other crazy projects than the core business. What do you think about?
I think that's largely right. I mean, basically, what this does is frees them up to do their own little pet projects and leaves the core Google business to be run by someone who's very good at running a business, which they've got with Sundar Pichai. But it just allows the two founders to basically take the money they've earned, go full Tony Stark, and actually start playing around with the stuff that really, I think, interests them far more than running an advertising company does, which is essentially what Google is.
So some of the projects and the other companies, in addition to Google, that will fall under the Alphabet umbrella, that's the Google X Lab, the drone delivery service, Calico Labs, that's the one designed for people to live healthier, longer lives, perhaps forever. There's driverless cars, robotics, Google Fiber, Nest, Life Sciences. Am I missing anything?
No, that's actually pretty much around it. And then, of course, there's all the stuff that we don't know about, because Google is very good at developing all these marvelous toys and then not telling anyone about them, which is why we refer to them as the chocolate factory. But I mean, it frees up those sort of the skunkworks projects, separates them from Google, which should actually reassure investors. Because they don't have to be continually worrying about how their money is being spent. There's also a limited suggestion that it may help with antitrust issues that Google's having. But the messages we're getting from Europe at the moment are that this is really not going to change anything. They're still going to be going after Google, whether or not it's headed and owned by a company called Alphabet or not. So I think it's just really a freeing up of responsibilities, a corporate reorganization. And as I say, it allows them to really devote the time to these skunkworks projects that I think they enjoy much more than their sort of day jobs at the moment.
So no, the Life Sciences project that I think was part of Google X, but now it's not. Maybe it's going to be called Life Sciences. It seems to be one of their most laudable projects. And it makes me wonder if this restructuring is really, like what they're saying, it's the business of reducing bureaucracy and speeding up innovation, basically for the greater good. Now, Stephen Levy has a piece on Medium. I highly recommend it. It's about life sciences. He writes that one of their missions is early disease detection that involves releasing smart nanoparticles into the bloodstream, which can identify markers of nascent health issues and signal the user through a wearable device. And this sentence to me is just the epitome of what Google does. It's this stuff that seems really useful. Like, I want to be healthy. I want to know if I have a disease, but it also sounds incredibly creepy.
Well, yes. I mean, if they can sell targeted advertising based on your behavior online, imagine what you can do if you've got something inside the body. I mean, I think the life sciences division, and you're seeing a lot of tech entrepreneurs investing in this kind of stuff, is in part down to a genuine desire to do good, which has always been a sort of, Larry and Sergey are old hippies in a way, and that they always want to be seen to be doing good, and that's that's laudable. It's also, for a slightly more selfish perspective, if you've got lots and lots of money, what's the one thing you can't buy? And that's more life. So you invest in things which will prolong your life, and hopefully, if the singularity comes around and we can all upload ourselves, make the very concept of death irrelevant. I think with something like this, though, it's a perfect Google project because it's long term. It's going to cost a lot of money, but the payoff is huge.
So let's move on to security. DefCon and Black Hat both happened last week, and I kept getting confused which one was happening last week, and then I realized it was both. What's the difference between these two security conferences?
Well, they were both set up by a guy called Jeff Moss, who is one of the most sort of complete security hackers in the business. DefCon was the original. That started in '93 as just a party with 100 of his mates. That's a hardcore hacking convention. It's very in-depth, very sort of you'll see all variety of people there. It's very unorthodox in that, if you're a new presenter, you have to do a shot of spirits on stage in the middle of your presentation. They have the wall of sheep where attendees try and hack each other and display their login credentials. It's a really hardcore hackers show. Now, about 4 years later, he set up Black Hat, which is the more corporate side of things, and eventually sold it off for 13 million, which sort of allows him to fund DefCon. Black Hat is more about a corporate get-together. There's a lot of governments, a lot of chief security officers from major companies, a lot of independent security vendors as well, but it's much more straight-laced. You see people in suits and ties. So where if somebody walked into DefCon floor with a suit and tie and they weren't being ironic about it, then they would get the Mickey taken out of them really quite severely. So they're now, they're both basically computer security, but to use an analogy, basically, if you want to know how to use the user manual a bit better, you go to Black Hat. If you want to know how to hack the source code, you go to DefCon.
So you have a piece about a flaw in Intel security chips. Tell us about that.
Well, this was one of the talks which really blew me away at Black Hat. Was for 16 years, Intel has had a hole in its processor architecture, which would allow somebody, if they had admin access, to install a rootkit which would be undetectable, unremovable, right down in the ring minus 2 level of the processor security. Now, the actual flaw was done for the design decision to make the flaw open wasn't conscious. It was just that they happened to move the memory controller memory range around within the processor itself. So in doing so, if you flash the memory in a certain way, then you could install a rootkit directly onto the most trusted part of the processor. And there's no way to fix this in most models. So if you've got any Intel processor from the Pentium 6, I think in '97, all the way up to Sandy Bridge, when they finally noticed and fixed the problem, then you are potentially vulnerable to this.
So that's any computer that was purchased that had one of these chips before 2011? Is that around the year?
About then, yeah. It's Intel. It's only been proven on Intel processors, but the guy who gave the talk said that AMD processors are almost certainly just as vulnerable. In fact, possibly more so, because AMD publishes a lot more information about its chip architecture. So what it's going to mean is if you've got malware on if people actually weaponize this, once you've got malware on your system, it would be possible to install this. So as I say, Intel has released some firmware updates for some servers in particular, but I think for the vast majority of users, this one's completely unpatchable.
So before 2011, it's anybody's guess. But if you have a computer after 2011, you don't have to worry about this particular risk. There's
after the Sandy Bridge line, then they fixed the problem and they fixed the controllers into new positions. But basically, anything between about 96, 97 to about 2011, all wide open.
And then after 2011, you just have all the other risks that we heard about all last week that you have to worry about.
Yeah, I know. There's always going to be problems and there are always going to be issues. But what made this one scary was that you could install it right in the most ring-fenced section of the processor where it's undetectable by any security software. So you'd never known if you're being hacked or not.
So let's move on to this crazy post by Oracle's chief security officer, Marianne Davison, that I've been reading. And it was posted on the Oracle corporate blog, not her personal blog, even though she did talk some about the mystery novels that she's writing. She wrote asking people not to help them look for security vulnerabilities. Why exactly is she so angry about this?
I've got to say, I don't want to be libelous about this, but Oracle has always had a very dodgy relationship with security vendors right the way back to 2002 when they started advertising the Oracle 9i database as uncrackable, and then someone cracked it in very short notice. I've got to say, I read this, and look, we've all got drunk and posted things online that we didn't think were that we then later regretted. And I looked at this and I just thought, my God, I want some of what she's smoking, because it was just bizarre. The very concept that we know better than anyone else in the security industry. She must have been to either Black Hat, or I'm presuming she was at Black Hat. This very issue was discussed. If you've got a corporate IT testing department, yes, they can do an awful lot. But compared to the vast number of people out there who not only do this for a paycheck, but do it because they love doing it, you don't have a chance. And she was basically saying that if you're a security researcher, we know best, don't bother us. And if you're a customer, don't even think about trying this because you'll be breaking your licensing agreement. And it's just a profoundly foolhardy statement. The only reason I can think of that she posted it is because maybe she's had one too many false positives sent in and it's taking up a bit of engineers' time, and she just lost it and posted this. It was a bizarre rant, and I really recommend anyone who's interested in security reading this as a case point of how not to do it.
Well, they took it down. I mean, we still have it because, someone, of course, you can never really take anything down from the internet, but Oracle removed it. They said it did. We removed it because it does not reflect our beliefs or our relationship with our customers.
Which, in my personal opinion, is an utter lie. If you look at Oracle's reputation and how they've gone about this sort of thing in the past, they have pressured to make these kind of, to make it illegal to go into their own code and find bugs. They've pressured researchers I've been speaking to at DefCon who say they've got very angry letters from Oracle if they've even suggested doing a talk on this sort of thing. And then for Oracle to take this down and say, this does not reflect our views as a company, I think that's, well, I can't swear on air, but you get the feeling of how I'm feeling about this. It's just bloody ridiculous.
It is. Well, thank you, Iain. It's always a pleasure to have you. Iain Thomson is a reporter at The Register and on Twitter at Iain Thomson, a frequent guest of Twit, and also can be found here when he's not sailing.
Thank you, Megan. It was a pleasure.
Take care.
Take care.
Coming up, free mobile security and going native with ads. But first, this episode is brought to you by Braintree, code for easy online payments. If you're a mobile app developer, check out Braintree. Braintree is the payment solution used by companies like Uber, Airbnb, and Hotel Tonight. Now, if you've used any of these apps, you know that part of their success and ease of use is all about how easy it is to pay. Braintree scaled with these companies from early stage startups to the successful companies they are today. So Braintree can scale with your business too, from processing your first dollar to your billionth, no matter how a customer would like to pay. Braintree has made the payment experiences in these apps seamless and magical, and now you can add a similar experience to your own app. With excellent customer service and simple integration, Braintree gets you ready to receive payments quickly. And Braintree's continuous support plus fast payouts means you'll be prepared as your company grows. Braintree is helping solve the problem of mobile cart abandonment by offering a best-in-class mobile checkout experience. So check it out for yourself. Braintree gives you a full-stack payment solution, support for all payment types your customers might want. So start accepting PayPal, Apple Pay, Bitcoin, Venmo, cards, and more, all with a single integration across all platforms with superior fraud protection, customer service, and fast payouts. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, go to braintreepayments.com/technight. Now on to a few more stories we're following today. The New York Times says that a multinational web of Russian hackers and Wall Street traders have been charged today after allegedly making off with $100 million. Here's the con. The hackers from the Ukraine stole corporate press releases from Business Wire, Market Wired, and PR Newswire before they went public and then traded on that purloined information. Now, this is the biggest scam of its kind ever uncovered, and it marks the first time that U.S. prosecutors have brought criminal charges for securities fraud that involved hacked insider information. Facebook is bringing more autoplay advertisements to a device near you. The social network has already become an advertising giant with native in-feed autoplay video ads, and now they want to make even more money by allowing developers access to this technology. Third-party mobile apps that sell ad space through Facebook's mobile ad network will now be able to use the native video feature for their ads. This allows their messages to play automatically whether you like it or not. The Verge reports that password manager LastPass is now making its mobile app available for free. You can also use it on your desktop for free, but if you want to use it on both places, it'll cost you $12 per year, which I personally think is totally worth it. LastPass generates complicated passwords for you and saves them in secure vaults so you don't have to remember them ever. It works across all devices, even your Apple Watch. You'll also need the premium subscription on your iPhone if you want to secure LastPass with Touch ID, which you probably do want to do in this day and age. And finally tonight, while Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush were busy fighting with Photoshop on Twitter, another candidate stepped into the U.S. presidential race. Lawrence Lessig, Harvard law professor and founder of the Center for Internet and Society, announced today that he is crowdfunding his race for president. If he is able to raise $1 million by Labor Day, he'll run as what he's calling a referendum candidate. Lessig explained what he meant by this. If elected, he will change the way elections are funded, guarantee the right to vote, and end gerrymandering. After that, he would step down and hand over the reins to the vice president. Interesting move, Larry. A Kickstarter campaign for president. If you have an opinion on this, let me know what you think on our Facebook page. We're at facebook.com/technewstonight with the number 2. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. You can subscribe to the show at twit.tv/TN2. You can write to us at TN2@twit.tv. And of course, you can watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific so you can see just how often I mess up. And don't miss our morning news program, Tech News Today, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Megan Morrone. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Cashfly.com.